Welcome to today's episode of Depreciation Nation, and we are going to address something that you all have been asking about in the comments, which is the status of our projects.
Yes, and we're going to talk about my A4.
Yes, so let's start with your A4. And how much progress have we made?
None.
Correct. Well, no, we've had the starter on and off of that car about 16 times.
At least.
And what we know is it's not the starter. And we know it's not the ignition switch.
Nor the clutch.
Nor the clutch switch.
We replaced the relays,
Mm-hmm.
but it just won't start.
And we don't know why. So, as we don't particularly have a garage for that particular project,
We've been stranded.
yes, and it's been winter for those of you that aren't in Georgia, and those of you that are in Georgia, you know that it has been a particularly cold winter this year.
And really wet.
Very, very wet, which makes
Really
it
wet.
very, very difficult to work on cars that are outside.
Mhm.
So, we plan to visit that very, very soon.
Yes.
We've got a friend that is willing to loan us some software so that we can hopefully pinpoint the issue as to why the car will not start.
Yep.
And you all will get an update as soon as we know why the car won't start.
I think once we get over that hill, though, everything should run smoothly.
I completely agree. Which takes us to our next A4 and Josh's A4 with the heater core issue, and we have had comment after comment after comment requesting an update on that car. Interestingly enough, we have not addressed the heat issue because the car developed interesting new issues. Like the radiator went out on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we replaced the radiator. In the process of replacing the radiator, of course, you lose a little bit of the CVT fluid. And in the process of losing the CVT fluid, we went to service the CVT and the car immobilized itself. So
Just needed a break.
it just needed a break because
Needed a break.
2 weeks later, it unimmobilized itself and started up, and we completed that CVT fluid change, and we completed the rest of the radiator, and that car is actually performing okay.
Yeah.
Is kind of a side note, with the radiator replacement, the heat now kind of works. And so I said kind of, not all the way. That is something that will be addressed here probably in the next couple of months. But as I said, it came up with new and much more complex issues, which prevented us from going any further with that car. Y'all commented a lot too about the antifreeze because the car had green antifreeze in it, and I just want to inform y'all that we did put the correct coolant in it when we changed the radiator. So that car's mostly together, mostly driving.
And
And
it's driving.
yeah, it's
It's
driving. And you should be getting an update soon.
Yes.
Which brings me to the E46 that I was building. Again, the performance-based motor that was going to go in that car is right here to my left. And in just kind of an interesting turn of events, the car is gone. Due to some life changes and some different decisions and things that needed to change, it didn't make sense for me to hang on to that car. But before you get upset and before you go, what now? Remember, we have our Project X3. And remember that the E46 and the E83 that we have that's often on the channel share a lot of the same components. And so we often use that car to chase with camera for some of the bigger productions that we do. For instance, An Afternoon with Chuck Beck. And there have been a few other segments. And what was your number one complaint about the X3?
It was slow.
Exactly.
Slow. I mean, seeing a 400 plus horsepower car take off and feel like Fred Flintstone behind that, So we need a bigger engine.
So, that being said, everything that we were going to throw at the E46 within reason is actually going to get thrown at the X3. So you will potentially be seeing the first E83 with an M54 B25 with ZHP cams and with the individual throttle bodies off of the S54 out of the E46 M3. Of course, there will be some other components and there will be some other things that make it a lot more unique and a lot more interesting, hopefully a lot quicker. Frankenstein. So the X3 is still going. We still got to do the rebuild on the sunroof. We've still got to do the headliner. And that's about it. The motor will continue to be built. I don't quite know when that swap will take place. It may take place over the summer, providing I have everything lined up that I need for that. Kind of shifting the project midterm created a need for some new and more interesting components that may be a little bit more difficult to source. If we could convert the vehicle to a manual, that would help in the process, but there were not many X3 manuals made, so we'll see what happens with that. And so again, the Saab, we talked about the Saab. We've been talking about the Saab for 6 months. Y'all haven't seen the Saab. The Saab is still here. The Saab will actually be produced in a pretty high energy, very short series in which it gets on the road very, very quickly. And that car will also be leaving my hands. It will not be leaving the channel. It will just be leaving me as we move on to bigger and better things.
Yep.
And so that is the status of the projects. We hope that y'all still stay tuned. We've got a few things in the works that should make for some pretty interesting and pretty fun content. Thank goodness we have been bumping into race drivers everywhere.
That's been fun.
Which is going to give us the ability to do some unique things on the channel. Again, Mr. Beck, we're revisiting him for a few more of his Beck replicas that he has built. And we are going to package those and bring those to you in just a completely rad format.
Can't wait.
So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either, honestly. I have an idea,
right?
And so I'm still piecing it together, but it should be really, really neat when it's done. So remember to hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to see something we haven't addressed, feel free to mention it in the comments below, and we'll talk to you soon.